Sashi, Yogi, Joji, Metta, Chan, Rira, Miji, Sange, Jindu, Miti, Pua, Yi, Dokun, Gaji, Chapa, Jo, Kita, Guru, Rana, Mandala, Niyataya, Sange, Cheta, Soyi, Jajo, Bada, Dani, Soji, Gaji, Dora, Pingu, Sange, Sange, Chudam, Soyi, Yajo, Bado, Dani, Daji, Chiji, Dora, Pingu, Sange, Sange, Chudam, Soyi, Yajo, Bado, Dani, Daji, Chiji, Dora, Pingu, Sange,
Casa Coalition.
Up here, Kuchko, Dune.
Tu could deal with
this way. Divarela.
TW said it.
Did it also sit down Zula of it.
Sula Sube, Kenga Namja, Tanyebe, Yebe Kubainji. Dirva?
No.
Data Sula Soba said to Sulta, the Rejala Soba. That should Tiny to you the Chukanga. Ni Jawatanga Bala Soba. Ni Jawata. Jenga so jans. Jawatan Gabala, so tiny bishop to by inches. That tiny bishop to tiny bishop said in Arandita. Kunjab Dobe, Shiva Kangalola, tiny bishop again. Then them Jivets Shiva Senator, the Batuma to Jivet, Ripatan. Ani Tony Rashima Tobe Shiva to Sulita, then the Mijuji Samasigva. Tiny Jivetama said, So Tobetama, Trato, Su Gawa Tobetama, Su Gaba Tobetama, or to Suta, Tanya Betame, Neve, Druba Injis, Deda. Ye jang rishi mitube. Ta sula sobateta ye neyang rishi tsama ke tugu maris. Rishi tsama sayateta dandam chibe tsama ting tugu maris. Teta ye jang rishi mitube. Ye mani pe teta chidar ke. Rishi ke madruba yansan ti mani baris. Mani neyang. Dandam chibe ripati mani na ti Kekug Maris, Chidar Keks, Nekug Maris. Yena that the Lumchi very buggy. Togovale, Timatona, that Kebri. That Rashing the Kuvatit and then should be Yenata, and Lumchi very shiggy Nekugari. He may have a maneuver in Santa Rashing Kuvat Keks at the deer. The Sugdi Tendam Chiveri Shigi Mani Vreti Sugiana Tendam Chiveri Shigi near Kubati Kuad Mare. Ni Kuali Maninat Kebari Sula Sobatu Su Tendam Chiveri Shigi near Kubati Mare. Mani Bateri Mani Bareti. Kebari Besenata, Keba Maris. Oh, that is.
I think his microphone is a little bit not on properly.
Yeah, she's
No, I think it's twisted round or something.
Ale, ngade.
Oh. don't know where he was. So we are on page 156. Yeah. So anyway, it's around the bottom of that page. So conventional consciousness is established the production and cessation of forms and such. Although forms and such exist, reasoning consciousnesses do not establish them. Therefore, while reason does not find forms and such, how could it refute them? For example, a visual consciousness does not find sounds and so on, but that doesn't refute them. This is similar. So it's around there. So now when it says form and so forth, that means visual form, sound, smells, taste, and so on. So then it mentions, let's see, conventional consciousnesses, right? So anyway, this is talking about, conventional consciousness is a mind which realizes a valid mind that realizes a conventional phenomenon, such as form, sounds, smells, and so on. Also, a mind which would realize the production of form, the cessation of form. That would also be; those would all be conventional consciousnesses. Ultimate reasoning consciousness is one that realizes emptiness. It's not one that realizes those conventional phenomena. So they exist, form and so on, the production of form and so on. They do exist, but they are not realized by the ultimate reasoning consciousness. So an ultimate reasoning consciousness doesn't establish them, and it doesn't find them. But just because it doesn't find them, that doesn't mean to say that it negates them or refutes them. So in other words, it's not the case that just because it doesn't find them, therefore they must be non-existent. If it's something that a reasoning consciousness should realize, then it doesn't find it, then that would mean that it's been refuted. And so in the case of form and so on, visual form and so on, these are conventional phenomena which are not found by an ultimate reasoning consciousness. But there's no need for them to be found by the ultimate reasoning consciousness. If they should be found by such a consciousness, and then they're not found, then that would mean that they've been refuted. Whereas in the case of, whereas actually they don't, there's no need for them to be found. They're not supposed to be found by such a reasoning consciousness. So when it doesn't find them, that doesn't mean at all that they don't exist. And so in other words, it doesn't mean that they refute them. They refute their existence.
미식이 변에 단위가 말봐. 단명이 버리디 미식이 단명이 버리디 미식 자디 미식이 많이 버인사 캐버리베 매버리베스니 캐버리베스니 캐버 말이 그 자디는 미식이니 그거야 말이 얘는 미식이니 그니치나 다 pombal아서 봐도 수이나 얘는 미식이니 그거야 다 미식이 많이는 pomba 캐버리 자디 미식이 많이 버리디 자든데 캐고야 말이 캐마고야 가르스나 자유는 미식이니 그거야 말아 다 pombal아서 봐도 수그 차가인 바디 네 미식이 많이는 다 캐버리 이나시다 수글아서 봐도 수 타도 제베리 바디 캐버리디 많이 버리디 근데 오늘 잘해서 버도서 캐버리베스나 까버리베스나 미식 까버리베스나 까버 말이 그래서 저도 집에 이식 까버 말아 그래서는 그 많이 받자마자 미시지. 아니 미시기 캐바이 말이지. 나가서 전도 타두지 베리시기 캐바 말이지. 책소나 매구로 어디 가래였으니 수 잘라서부터 수이나 타두지 베리시기 니고야 말이지. 단지 술라서부터 수이나 미시기 니고리 미시기 많이는 다 캐버봐. 미시기 자디 미시기 많이는 자디 캐버려서나 말이 자디 얘네 미시기 니고야. 어디들이
Okay, so for example, a visual consciousness doesn't realize sound. It doesn't find sound, doesn't realize sound. Does that mean to say that it refutes sound? Well, the answer to that is no, because the thing is that sound isn't something that should be found by a visual consciousness. If it should be found by a visual consciousness, such as a vase and so forth, if it's there, then the visual consciousness should be able to realize it, should be able to see it, should be able to find it. If it's not there, then if it's not there, the visual consciousness can't. If the visual consciousness can't find a vase there, that means that it's not there, that there's no vase there. In the case of sound, the visual consciousness doesn't realize it, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because it's not supposed to realize sound. So therefore, in the case of the visual consciousness and sound, not finding it is not doesn't refute its existence, doesn't negate its existence. Okay, so in the same way, with an ultimate reasoning consciousness, it doesn't find visual form and sound and so on, but not finding it doesn't refute or negate them. Because if it were to negate them, that would mean that they didn't exist. But actually, they do exist. So the thing is that the ultimate reasoning consciousness doesn't need to or isn't supposed to find visual form and so on. So when it doesn't find them, it doesn't mean at all that they don't exist, that they've been refuted. Okay, so anyway, I think that's quite clear then. The sound and so forth doesn't need to be found by an ultimate reasoning consciousness, so not finding it doesn't refute it, doesn't negate it, and doesn't mean that they don't exist.
에 많이 데이터 캡을 지들 킬디 베나스 미기 시베 자마니장 이 메케바 히노스 미기 시베기 자마니 버리디 미기 시베기 자디 켈이야 말이스 데 메케바 히노스 다디 베티티리.
So in the text, you can see right down the bottom of page 156, where Jirimshi says, for example, a visual consciousness does not find sounds, but this does not refute them. This is similar.
다디 얘나 갱가라 소바랑게 무유토밤 에코나니도 좀 리바디 니 그디 리바디 소소 랑고 주베 갱가스 예메 최신도 주베리 바이메 다 갱가라서부터 라시 랑고 모두밤자 데코나니도 좀 데코나니도 주바 리바디 니 그디스다 다도 집에 리바디기 데카나니도 좀나 데코나니도 주밤 랑고 좀나 타니 다도 집에 리시데 니 그그리스 그래서는 리바디 소소라 소바랑고 주바 주베 gen가 유미 추신도 주베 리바 인지 추신도 주바시도 리바 양다레 그 gen가로 수바티 라시가 줌마도 추지가 리바 양다레 다디 아니 리바 양다 인사 디마니네 디케벌 샤고레 다 케쿠그레스 리바 양다 추신도 주바 지다 그 라시 미지 근데 장백이 라시 미지네 주된人心에 쓰게라 봐. 제대 그 리버티 레시미 추신도 집에를 말아 봐. 그 리버티한 말이 디카레 그 매번 그 삼로디 주된人心그 레시기 리버티 레시야 뭐 주된 매번 쓰게라 봐. 그게 매번 예산 매번에 슬래버지 그 라시미 추신도 집에를 말아 봐. 어디 예산 저기 전동 주지기 리버티 아니 라시가 두버티 많이 버티 많이는 디케 부그리 디카레스는 디코 라시미 추신도 집에를 버리 어떻게 많이는 다 군이 capable shabu.
Then, top of page 157, that first sentence there. Therefore, if production, cessation, and so forth existed essentially, so like by nature or from their own side, i.e., if they were established in reality, then reason would have to find them because it accurately analyzes whether forms and such have essentially existent production and cessation. So what this is saying is that the ultimate reasoning consciousness should find the object if it does. Should find an object existing by nature or from its own side if there were such a thing. And the reason for that is that it's a proper, so what it says here is accurately, so that's okay. So, it's one which analyzes properly, so it's a correct kind of factual sujindu, so like properly, so it's like it's one which is analyzing as one should analyze, like that, Tsushindu. So, in other words, so what that means is, when it says like accurately or correctly or whatever how you put it, properly analyzes, means it's a correct consciousness based on a correct analysis. So this contrasts with, for example, the Kyangpemba, so the Charavakas. Now they say this and that doesn't exist by its own nature. They reason and they reasoning. They say that that doesn't exist by its own nature, but that's not a correct reasoning consciousness, because what they think is that the this and that doesn't exist at all. Of course, if it doesn't exist at all, then it doesn't exist by its own nature. So that's a different thing altogether. So here, what we're talking about is an accurate, what's the term? Because it accurately analyzes, okay, is the term we have in English there. So it's properly, correctly, accurately analyzing. And therefore, when such a consciousness is looking for an object existing from its own side and doesn't find it, doesn't realize it, that's a sure sign that it doesn't exist. Such a thing doesn't exist, an object existing by nature.
이 주신도 주베리 바임베체 대답부디 겨와라서바 많이베 랑금을 주가 대권하니도 주베 갱가라서바 고바 인디스 rangi ngui tumna di nye gui bale mani bichir. Tadi rangi ngui tumna, ane rangi ngui tumma tu jibari pati nye kuburi di mani bichir. Tadi pedala. Pena shajo su bumba yuna nye bar nye be chogengi shardu bumba. Tebe se mani na di shana bumba yuwa kepa indisi da shajo na bumba yume chujigi rikpa jayarwa shajo na bumba yume chujigi rikpa digi shajo na zayane shajo na bumba mani na da shajo na bumba meba tajugurwa rede jida bumba meba tajugu yamarwa bumba kepa mari shajo na bumba meba di keparwa jida bumba yarwa da shigashi na bumba yamarwa shigashi na bumba meba insan shigashi na bumba yumi zene shidi na bumba meba di riba di meba mani na dati shajo na shidi na bumba meba di bumba yuba di kepari bumba meba taje bugu yarwa ina ya jida bumba di kepa di kigi marwa wate disi na dati riba digi shajo na jujigi bumba yumi jujigi riba di yantabe riba reis di shajo na mani na ni shajo na bumba kepa reis wate disi tapena pedi
Then halfway through that paragraph, there's an example. For example, when a searcher who is certain to find a pot in the east, if it is there, searches in the east for a pot and does not find it, this refutes the existence of a pot in the east. Yet how could it refute the mere existence of a pot? What Jeremiah is saying is that if the object existed by its own nature, then the ultimate rational or reasoning consciousness should be able to find it. And when it doesn't find it, that means that it doesn't exist. So, for example, when you have but that doesn't mean to say that the thing doesn't exist. Just the thing existing by its own nature doesn't exist. So, for example, if there's a vase in the east and somebody who's definitely going to find it there, if it's So if we just suppose the existence of if we look talking about vases in the eastern direction, and we're talking about a consciousness which, when it looks for it, would definitely find one, then when it doesn't find one, that's a sign that it doesn't exist in the east. But of course, it doesn't mean to say that there are no vases in general, just because it couldn't find a vase there. So when that kind of search takes place and the vase isn't found in the east, then that means definitely there's no vase in the east. But it doesn't mean to say that there are no vases and that the vase has been negated, refuted in general. Because the thing is, of course, there are some places where there's no vase. So in such a place, when you don't find a vase, then that means to say that there isn't a vase there. But it doesn't mean to say that there are no vases in general. So it's similar to that.
Dine, danji jangbe giti, rashi tu matu juji, chetam ja rashi tu matu juji giti pati, riba suishin tu jiba riba marba. Tas jangbe ti ku meba tang rashi meba jiba jani ni mes giyarba. Ku riba ti mes ya riba ti lo ti suishin tu jiba lo mari. That's sanji the Karisun years, Rashingi me, you soon yerva. I mean, Shirabing will soon me, Tame, now soon me, Tame, soon yerva. The Tame Siati rāshīng mēnsā rā yīs jirwa. Tētāja rāshīng tōmbā nāmbā tāwar jāwū sēyā tī shirā mīngu cīnā liyāri. Mē sēyā tī gāti kāngalo rāshīng mēnsā rā yīs kiyāri. Tā jitān yō sūmbarwa. Tā rāshīng mē yō sēyā tī jōshīng bachī kūgayāri. Rāshīng mē bā yīngi, jitān yō bā yīngi tī shā kūgayāri bā. Tā kārē rāshīng mē sēyā tī rāngu mēne mē sēyā. Tā jitān yō sēyā tī tōpē wōngi yō sēyā. Tōpē wōngi yāri mē shū chīgā. Rāngu mēne yā mā rī sēyā. Tā chagā tī jī mē barā sēyā. Rāngu mēne mē barā bā. Rāngu bātī mēnchē tī rāngu mēne yō tōpē wōngi yō sēyā rā bā. Tōpē shā tsā sēyā rā bā. Tēngyū bēgē rāngi ngūne mē, yō sēyate tōpē ngūne shābu rēs, nē tōpē pātā tsamu sēyate sēyate. Tātī jōg shēyate rāshī kī yōmē jōbē rīpati kī rāngi ngūne mē pati, tī jōbē rīpati, tsūshindu jōbē rīpati, rāshī kī mē pa mēne yāng mēba tēgiyā marwa. Rāshīngi tā sāngyēgi chūtandē sūmē tāmē tēmē rē sūmbarwa. Tē sūmyāt kārīgāsi nē, tētā jāng rāshīngi tōmbā nāmbā tāwō chō siyārī. Mē siyāti rāshīngi mē sāwarī chāwarī. Chitā yō chāwarī. Tā kādhī rē rāshīngi mē yō sīk tukā, tā kēndē rē sī na, tōpē wōngi shī. Yō bās yō sīyāti tōpē wōngi yō bāra sī kiyā rē sī. Tōpē wōngi shā bāra sī kiyā rē sī. Rāngu ngēni yā mā rē sī, tī sī kuyā rē. Tā tī yō jī tī chāpa jī rē, chāpa jī. Ngā rāngu lē nā yō tī tsāmbā yō jī ngēni nāngi yā rē. Tā tī yā mā rē sī kuyā rē. Tādī rāshī mē pa jīpa rīpa yāntā yīmba chē. Chīngyū mē jāngbē kē rāshī mē pa jīpa rīpa yāntā rīgī yā marwa. Khū rāshī mē tūtū mē pa chē jīntū kuyā rwa. Rānū lā tā rāshī kī mē nā yā mē pa mā yīmba chē jōshī mba chū kuyā rwa.
Kāma būtā sūtā āni tā mē samdē yu sāng āni rāñjī kī mē kiāng tēs. Rāla.
Rē kū, jāngbēni.
In the case of the Charavakas, their reasoning consciousness is not a correct reasoning consciousness. And this is all comes down to the fact that for them, if it doesn't exist, therefore it doesn't exist by nature. So it's not an accurate kind of analysis. So the thing is that the Buddha taught, like in the Heart Sutra, that the form, etc., they don't exist by their own nature, but that doesn't imply that they don't exist at all. So in that sutra, the Buddha taught visual form doesn't exist, sounds don't exist, tastes, smells, tastes, tangibles don't exist. But if you look earlier on in that statement, then you can see that the context doesn't exist by its own nature. So so he's explicitly teaching, that form and so on don't exist by their own nature. However, they do nevertheless exist. Although they don't exist by their own nature, they do exist. So we need to know how to posit those two together, not existing by its own nature and also existing. So it doesn't exist by its own nature, but it exists. How does it exist? Through the force of the projection or imputation by the conceptual mind. So everything which exists exists through the power of the conceptual mind, through imputation by the conceptual mind. And so others below, this is the Prasangika view, of course. Below the Prasangika system, those other systems, they would say that things exist by their own nature, and also they are posited by the mind. So whereas in the Prasangika system, then you have the idea that they are posited by the mind and don't exist by their own nature at all. They don't exist from their own side at all. And so when the Buddha taught, there's no form, no sound, no smells, no taste, no textures, and so on, you have to connect it back to earlier on in that in the sutra, where it says they also don't exist by their own nature. The Daikyan. So they also don't exist by their own nature. So what the Buddha was saying then is that they don't exist by their own nature, but they do exist. How? Through the force of, they exist through the force of the conceptual mind, through the strength of the conceptual mind. They're posited by the conceptual mind. And this is something which is quite difficult and quite subtle, because how things appear to us is like they exist by their own nature. And so we're having to think to ourselves, so they appear to exist in that way, they don't exist in that way. So anyway, the point of we're making here is that here we're talking about an accurately analyzing the reasoning consciousness, one which reasons properly, correctly, and so we're talking about a correct consciousness. In the case of the Charavakas, then their reasoning consciousness is not a correct one, because they simply think that the thing doesn't exist at all, and because it doesn't exist at all, therefore doesn't exist by its own nature. They reach that conclusion that things don't exist by their own nature, but it's only because they think that they don't exist at all.
Manipati Rashi Rangi Murtube Kiva Kebain that Kiva some Chita Kids, that Kiva Kid Mari Rashi Tube Kiva the Kebaris. The Ume Ribasia did Ribati Tiny Sumelo Ribatilis here. Ume Ribas. That Taji Gangbe is very bati, Rashime Batu very bati, Chedal Norba, Chedal, the Umeri Basianti, Taji Tani the Terror, Sipagilis, Umeriba.
Then it goes on to say, okay, so again, we're around the middle of the first top paragraph on 157. Yet how could it refute the mere existence of a pot? So the pot itself is not refuted at all. No way. So similarly, the Madhyamika analysis is certain to find essentially existent production, if such a thing exists. So Madhyamika analysis means an analysis which doesn't succumb to or fall to either of the two extremes. In the case of the Charvakians, their reasoning does fall to the extreme, so because it actually, takes them to the or it is the it brings you to the nihilist extreme, because they're thinking that something which doesn't exist by its own nature, then obviously it doesn't exist at all. So if such thing exists, then when it does not find production and so on, this constitutes a refutation of intrinsically or essentially existent production. How could it refute mere production? So production isn't refuted. Production, which is inherently existent or essentially existent, that's refuted.
다들이 디체를 대다 리베 넘버 제바나 스타트 잡로지네 디체 대다 리베 넘버 제바나 공부당 유다 넘버 쉐바 다이 다도 공부세지 다 공부세지라 미기 공부네 이기 공부 para 공부 주야리 또 공부세지 미기 공부세지 랑기 유 tumu mahimbala rangi yu sula onwa cheji tadi rangi yu tumu mahimbatila onwa cheba chinyati cheba insan miku ompula ten suna sula jugri mishu trata tila rota rechala jugri yamari ku yu di 그런데 미국 온부기 가래를 온치기래서는 미국 넘버십을 개발을 온치기래봐 미국 넘버십을 되게 고발을 주기래서는 이 수를 주기를 미셔 다들 뒤를 주기야 말이야 라는 게 유라 주문 많이 봐 온치기야 다 미국 온부디 다 미국 온부세한테 가래서는 나 먼저 통도야 미 도도지도가 이 온데 코바시게 이 난도 수진 당화지 셰더 당화이 이 탐무지래 수 탐무지 이게 다 그게 미시디 피게 주버시게 어디에서 먼저게 셰도 나기 로 문에 로지 알바티 넘버 10에 소리지 니 셰도디 공부 소리지 셰도 줄을 셰부지 알바 어레다 비질이나 셰도의 줄을 셰부지 알바 이 공부 온디 코바지 비질이나 나로 데셔도지제 디치로 데셔부지 알바 셰부디 온디 코바 소리지 디나게 셰도디 온부 당한디제 나디 셰도디 바니디 남바시버들바 남바시버디 온부 걸레 인도 점바다디 유통기야 그래서 다 예전에 그 온제세야 돼 랑비 유 주문 많이 받들어 온지 봤어 온식이 유튜브 많이 받을 가르치는 수디샤 다그 주문 많이 받어야 돼 가르치는 자다 지다 로다 레절서 받도 술라 주부투기야 말이야 랑비 유 수쿠라는 주 딜레신 수기제지를 소르바 수기제지를 주 다이지도 로이지제도 제기제를 주비야 봐 지다 자지 로 레제도 스강가 수리 봐 수리 그 온식이 유르바 디데디 수기제지 말이지 수기제지 미게 온부디 수기제지 남시 디수 기지 통하라 옹알지 드라이 기지다 디 기지 저제 기지 통하는 옹알지기야 말이야 자산 미국 온부세가 되게 다 나의 온부디 가래를 옹알지그래 유달라 나의 넘버 쉐버디 유달라 주발라 그 옹알지기야 나의 온부디
Della Jubena, della Momaji.
주발라 옹알지기야
Jubala.
어디 지게봐 다티 코라 옹알지에서 그런 거 옹알지에들 주문 많이 버려야 옹세야디 그 딜라 주버체바 현달은 주버 미치바 미게 온부디 미시디 딜라 주구마리 롤러 주구마리 이 가레스는 그 미게 온불레 템바가 디제 미게 온불레 템바에서 그 디유도 제투야 말이 로예도 제투야 말이 다티 그 가레를 와지가 했으니 수이 유도 집어로 와지 어디 옹세 온부디를 주야
Now, let's see. So we are looking at this, the Chandikiti's commentary on the 400. Okay, so this quote here. Therefore, when reason analyzes in this way, there is no essential nature that exists in the sensory faculties, objects, or consciousnesses. Hence, they have no essential existence. So that part. So when it talks about the sensory faculties, okay, so that would be the Wombo, the sense faculties, sometimes called organs, sometimes called faculties, sometimes called sense faculties, and so on. So anyway, so the sense faculties. So there are 6 of those. You've got the eye sense faculty, or you could call it the visual sense faculty, but anyway, the eye sense faculty, ear sense faculty, nose, tongue, body sense faculty. But then in the case of the mental consciousness, you wouldn't call it sense faculty, right? So anyway, you've got the 5 sense faculties plus the mental faculty. You've got those 6. In the case of the eye sense faculty, so the thing is that the original Tibetan word Wombo has this, has this idea of, or connotation of having control over something, or having power or dominion over something. So what, keeping that in mind, then you can understand the statement, the explanation that the eye sense faculty, its unique object over which it has control is visual form. Saying that means that the object that it engages in is form, visual form. It doesn't engage in sounds, smells, taste, tangibles, and so on. So its own unique object is the visual form. So now, okay, so to give you some background on what kind of thing the visual or the eye sense faculty is, when the thing that you can actually see, which you can't see your own eye with your own eye, but anyway, like when you look in the mirror, anyway, the thing that you can see, that's not the sense faculty. That's considered to be like the thing that contains the eye sense faculty. The eye sense faculty itself is described as a clear form, like a crystal. It's subtle form. And to give you an analogy, it's like when you have a flashlight with the glass on top, and then inside you've got the bulb, right? So that of the that glass covering, that sort of like chamber there would be, that part of it would be like the eye, the eye that we can see, one you can actually see. Then the bulb inside, which is what's actually shining the light, sending out the light, that would be like the eye sense organ, which is this subtle form contained within the eye that we can see. So then, in the same way that we can talk about the faculties, we also have the consciousnesses, which engage in that object depending upon those faculties. So you have the eye consciousness, and again, its unique object, which it has power over in a sense. In other words, the one that it engages in would be visual form. It wouldn't engage in sounds, smells, tastes, and so on. In fact, we should say in this case, what it engages in is the uzuikechi, so the form source. We talk about the 12 sources and so on. So the form source, not sound sources, not smells and taste sources, or the tactile source. So what that visual consciousness has control over, in a sense, anyway, is the form source. In the case of the what you call the nose faculty, so its object, which it engages in, and which it is said to have dominion over or control over, would be the object sound. So basically, when we talk about having control over or dominion over, it means it's the object that it engages in. And you have, along with that, the idea that it doesn't engage in other objects. In this case of the ear faculty, its object, the one that it engages in, what has dominion over, is sound and not others. And so the reason that the eye consciousness engages in and has dominion over visual forms is because it depends upon the eye faculty, and the eye faculty only engages in visual forms and not other objects. So because it depends upon that, it also is sort of limited in a sense to those.
Sugi geje, dai geje, dui geje, roi geje, reje gejes, chui gejes, juyari. Tadio, ombu juiva chila, yiwan siyari. Yi ombu, Nidi, yu dila juiva junane, chui gejes, yati yiwangi, yishigi yu dila sigari. Chuki geje that did two my battery. Yigi Yuangi Yishidi Ranga Tumu Maimba, Yula on Chesi at Chuki geje. The Yishidi you to got over here. That you to got over the Kutumu Maimba said, Moshing up with the Chuki geje, you to jet to wear married. Oshigabutigi.
No.
You go now number shiva, 9 number shiva, G number, Yugi number shiva. Nabutigi, Chuki geji, you to jet to Yamar. Chuki geji.
Chikishino.
Chuki geji said the Ishikune Yuri. You on Pusia Jerva. 이종부제 이시세야 자리시 이 엄부 주의바 유 주의야리 남바시바 주의야리 되게 감좀 제세야 되리
이기지 유리치 두기오 말해서 뭐 부르죠 그걸.
엄부 수진 나시게.
그래.
엄부 수진 나시나 되게 엄부가 배 수그레 수비 차례 수진 당원 장장치야. 아, 되게 원시도 수 원시가 되게 실제지 제투야 말이야. 이시 되게 유두가 유두 제투. 이내다 실제지 이시 근에 유르바 원시 담부가 되게 유제 투게면서 쿠랑 주문만 배유래. 다 이시 되게 저 강가 뭐냐도 원시 미국 원시 주소 디니 수소 양배로 기기도가 이시 기기야. 어디 수도 투야 봐. 어디에서는 아니 거다이 원부 주제 이 주제 남시 주세들 남시 주부들 담아들 이지 남바시었으리바
Okay, so we have 6 faculties. You have the 5 sense faculties plus the mental faculty. Corresponding to that, you have 6 objects. You've got the form, what we call it, form source, sound source, smell source, taste source, tactile source or tangible source, plus the what's called the dharma source. Dharma in the sense of phenomena must be. So the dharma source would be the object of the mental faculty. So you've got those 6 faculties and the 6 objects. Then also we have the So then we have likewise we have 6 consciousnesses. So you've got the 5 sense consciousnesses and the mental consciousness. So the consciousness that depends on the mental organ. So actually, the objects of the mental consciousness, well, there's no limit. Everything which exists, in other words, particularly all of the objects of the 5 senses are also its objects in the sense, they are objects that it realizes. But nevertheless, we would say that the Dharma source is only the object of the mental consciousness. It's not the object. Okay, so the Dharma source, phenomena source, is not the object of the other consciousnesses, the sense consciousnesses. So, so here we talk about the from a slightly different point of view. We talk about the 18 elements. Okay, 18 elements. So the 18 elements refers to the 6 objects, then the 6 faculties, and the 6 consciousnesses. So just to go back to the other objects, the objects of the 5 senses also being the objects of the mental consciousness. Well, like for example, we're able to think this is form, aren't we? So that means that the visual form is an object of the mental consciousness, because it's a mental consciousness that does that. That thinks this is form and so forth. So in that sense. So anyway, yeah, you have the 6 objects which are form and so forth down to the phenomena source or dharma source, chi. So you've got those 6 objects, then there are the 6 faculties, the eye faculty and so on down to the mental faculty, and then the 6 consciousnesses, which would be the visual consciousness, and so on, the five sense consciousness plus the mental consciousness.
That's so that the number Shiva said the number Shiva said Ribalo is in each everywhere. You know, listen to Ribalo is in each every Shevetin is you read by Shevetin said this.
You read
Loyalty is in it. Then, Della Sem the Sim Junior. Sem de la Chessa number Shiva Sierra, Della number Shiva troops. Seati Tiri. Sem number Shiva Seati Kotu Tiri. When me in a gabu sort number Shiva Seati. Simjus in a deep cordial legitimated. Any Simju, you mean a signature. Pena Soa Semba Dushi Reba Yele Jevas. Soa Semba Dushi Guru Nas in a Soa Semba Dushi Reba. Soa Semba Dushi Reba Yele Jevas. Dile Simju cigarette, that's Simju to the China Simju Machuta Giare. Simju dilla. That you could Miji called Lagina Mambuyarva, Tigchudi, Simju dilla, Machuta Giare. In Pamambuchena. That Undunga said some Tanjegu called doing it. Migina Bashir called delay yare. Soa Simba Dushi Riba Yela Jevas. Mayare. Undula Simjum Siger. Number Shivala, Sem Javima. Sem de Cordos, Jumas. Simjum said. I thought you could. Soa Sebati Mishigi. Yula Sula Longevati in a crew. Choa Kari Yungdos in a Gashili Choa Tewa Yungri, Gashili Metewa Yungri. The Yonetilla Choa Siger. For Rando Susubi, for Legala, the Lager Religion, Choa said Jig. Crew did do Daniel Sum Rando Dino Asker. Choa did do Daniel Sum Ser. Semba said you are singing, Namchi, you are singing. Until Semba said, that day, so Semba dishes in Dinitio Sambarich. You susur ribarich dishes here. That is so Semba Dushi by Yella Javas, Tapun cigarette. Aleva did it. So sim seati you will more than riba siger. Pena Pumba in it. Pumba than riba serge. Ne Pumba di Simjus in it. Ne Pumba di Ani did Pumba de Shas. Dushi signature. That it in it. So as Pumbala Lungiba, Mishi Pumbato Batina, Ni Tidu, Pamasum, Random Diminuted Soas, Takaje, Assembly, Kotula, Simju Kunduna, yes, that you go 70 동벌어지 동배 뭐 잡는 동배 개발은 얘기를 두서 심중되게 어디 설제다 근데 알레다 좀디 넘버 10에 시기야르바 넘버 10이 지다 유리 발로 이치니 지제 로딜이야 셈다 심중이 셈다 넘버 10에 이스 딘지 셈다 이다 넘버 10에 민기 남다 셈다 이다 넘버 10 근데 가르쳐 그래 민기 남다 사지 갑게실이 이시게리 실은 넘버 10에 시게리 삼삼 나 이시야 이시세서가 이시 다티 이시 어디에서 단내 넘버 10에 시야디 조요심을 남시 플러스야디 조요심들 플러스 심중을 깨지시게
Now let's see in here. Oh, okay. So, okay, so yes, so it says sensory faculties, objects, or consciousnesses. Hence, they have no essential existence. So, to elaborate a bit on the consciousness. Let's see, I think that's the right word, isn't it? Do another Gemini or you know, number 7, yeah, so number 7, so it's here we have the word consciousness being used. Okay, so consciousness, ripple loads in here. So ripple loads in here, you ripple loads in here, not 2 years ago. Ripple loads in here, then you ripple.
유리 벨로치유리
Dian loads in here.
시베팅이랬잖아요.
No.
세시리 시베팅이 샤버바.
Shebis in here. Says you ripple the shebis in here.
다 로이 지버리. 로다 쉐버스 지버리. 세시리 시베팅이 바.
No.
네. 여들이.
No. So if we look at the definitions, so it's well anyway. So ripple. So anyway, the definition for mind is awareness. Okay, but don't grasp too much because somehow they're a little bit interchangeable. So then another definition for mind would be awareness of the awareness of an object. So, you know, in other words, a mind is always an awareness of an object. Then we also have like a definition for consciousness, which is clarity and awareness, right? Clarity and awareness. But that also really works as a definition for mind. Anyway, so you get the idea, right? So awareness of an object, clear and knowing, or clarity and awareness. It's just different ways of putting the, translating the same thing. So here what we're talking about is mind, as in mind and mental factors. So when it says consciousness, here, does it say that? Yeah, consciousness. We're talking about consciousness in the sense of mind as opposed to mental factors. So mind and mental factors. So when we talk about consciousness, we talk about, mind, consciousness, we talk about 6 types. That came. Well, anyway, so when she went back to that, I better say it now because it's where I've got it in my notes. So you've got mind, mentality, consciousness. These are all mutually inclusive. So they're kind of the same name for, different names for the same thing. So now, as for the relationship between mind and mental factors, just like in the realm of human beings, we might have somebody who is the king, and then they've got the people working under. There are people that work under the king. So the mind, as in mind and mental factors, would be that would be like the king, and then the mental factors would be like the people working below the king. So, like for example, I mean, there are 51 mental factors, and they come in different groups. One group is called the omnipresent or all-accompanying mental factors. There are 5 of those. You've got feeling, sometimes called sensation, then intention, then discernment, which is also sometimes called recognition or discrimination, so discernment. Then Torah, Semba, Duché, Rekpa. Yeah, I was couldn't read my own writing this morning. So Rekpa is a contact, and then the 5th one would be attention. So feeling, intention, discernment, contact, and attention. Those are the 5 all-accompanying ones. All-accompanying would mean like they're the members of the staff that go with every kind of consciousness, which would be like the boss or the king kind of thing. Okay, so in the case of so goes, they're called all accompanying or omnipresent because they accompany all consciousnesses. And in fact, although it's not so obvious when we look at the English terms that we usually use, mind and mental factors, in Tibetan you have semjung, so the mind and mental factors, semjung. The thing is that what it means is it has a connotation of occurring in or arise, being in the retinue of a mind. So, when with that analogy of the king, we talk about the people that work under the king would be like the mental factors. So they're also like the staff, or anyway, they're like the retinue of the kings. Okay, the ones that do the work for the king. So mental factors are so called, but this is more obvious when you use the Tibetan expression, because they are in the entourage of the mind. So they're called mental factors. In the case of feeling, so that's a mental factor that would go along with any consciousness, and it's the one that that experiences the object as either pleasant or unpleasant, or sort of like in a neutral way, has a sort of neutral experience, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And it has it's described as experiencing the object as pleasant, unpleasant, neutral by its own force. So it's because that's its particular function. What that means is the mind and the other mental factors will also experience the same object as pleasant and so on, but because of the feeling, because the feeling of it, or the feeling is doing that job of experiencing. Okay, so then in a similar way, intention, sampa, also has its own function, which is to move the mind and the accompanying mental factors to the object. And then when we talk about discernment, we're talking about a mental factor which has the function of identifying an object as this or that. So, that's some of those mental factors. In the case of the mind, which is also sometimes called the primary mind or main mind, sosen, it is aware of the entity of the object, the mere entity of the object. Okay, so it's like it has that overall way of engaging in the object. So, for example, in the case of the vase, it would be aware of the vase. The mental factors would have it would be aware of particular features features of the vase. That would be their special function. So, for example, in the case of the mental factor discernment in that context, it would be the one that would be able to think, this is a vase. Okay, then the feeling would be, when you use that object, experience that object, then it would be experiencing it as either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, and so on. So you have those 5 all accompanying or omnipresent mental factors, and they all, so the main mind would have would function to engage in the mere vase, the vase itself, the entity of the vase itself, whereas the mental factors would be engaging, have the function of engaging in particular features of the vase. Another analogy we could use is of like a camera. So the camera would be like the mind. Now, within that camera, you've got different components which have particular functions, and they would be like the mental factors. So the mind would be like the main device itself, like, for example, the camera. And then the mental factors would be like the different components that have their own special and unique function. So anyway, when we're talking about the mind and mental factors, there are 51 mental factors.
Come to the said, then will come to see. You then will come, then Banam Sig come to any come to any maybe you come to then will come to see. Then you said, maybe you come to see. Any number shipati, number namshi come to see, come to Jesse.
In this context, we talk about the 18 elements, right? Kamchuki, the 18 elements. And these are divided up into sets of 6. So you've got the 6 which are the let's say that then, so like the basis, those that would refer to the 6 faculties. So in other words, you've got 6 elements which are the faculties, and they're the basis. Then you've got 6 faculties which are the consciousness, and they're based on those faculties. So maybe we can use like support and supported. base and that which is based upon anyway, whatever you use in Denba. And then you've got the 6 elements, which are the objects which are observed by those consciousnesses or focused on by those consciousnesses. No.
Yeah, that is
Well, maybe if there are questions.
Just for clarification, earlier I heard that Dharma source is the object of only mental consciousness and not object of other 5 sense consciousness. And then later on I heard that the 5 sense consciousness are also objects of mental consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So would Rinpoche explain a little bit more about how is it that they are objects of mental consciousness?
How the 5 consciousnesses are objects of the mental consciousness.
Yes, beside the 5 sense consciousness.
Mm. I think actually Rinpoche didn't actually say that, but still it's true. We can still ask.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Then I did hear it correctly.
What he actually said was that the objects of the sense consciousnesses are also objects of the mental consciousness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So you don't have questions?
No.
Because the Wangxing Yorwa, Wangxing Abotunzo, Yang and the Igi Shepe Yul res, the Toyo res, the Cosons. Near the Chilanchin did the letter ready and every city Suma songs. The Wombo Wangxing Nagi Yul the Zuyang and it Igi Shepe Yul res, and the Lusa. The two mess.
So let me want to clarify. So consciousness means mind and mental factors, both primary mind and secondary mind, right?
Consciousness means mind and mental factors.
Right.
Just the number shape said the same than same juni or
number shape said the Yamari, this same down.
No.
Number shape said the same sige.
Number shape.
Number shape namshi Natagarasa Zinye Dunji Chilutuna number shepache. Josem Sina Mingi Namdaris easy at the Karasupri. The number shepasiati easy at it. Oh, she.
Chidela the correct number shape maro.
Number shebas sim the simju imba. The Tandeti number sheba drew Siati Kanga Simji. Simju Mari. Just under the number sheba Siati. Number shebala sim the simju ni Mari. Number sheba Siati go sim the simju ni ginan namshi situa. So sim Siati. When the Loy Chinis, say she Loy Chinich. Lola send the Simju Nije. And then number she will not put the same set it is.
Well, what was your question again?
Consciousness means mind and mental consciousness and mental factors.
Yeah, it's very difficult to be clear with the terms here, because generally speaking, we would normally, normally we would just say mind, awareness, cognition, consciousness, they're all the same, right? But the thing is, we talk about mind and mental factors, right? So in that case, mind and mental factors have to be distinct. So what maybe the clearest thing you say is like when it comes to consciousness, we've got 6 types of consciousness. Consciousness can be either mind or mental factor.
or not combined?
What do you mean not combined?
So I'm not sure.
So
So
when we
you
talk
say
about,
consciousness,
so consciousness would be like a general term, you know, clear and knowing kind of thing. But then if you want to be specific, there you've got two types of consciousness.
okay.
There's the mind, which has the you know, which as Rinpoche said, perceives the object in general, or engage in the object like the mere object. And then the mental factors, which, you know, have specific functions.
I have a question. It's not from this class, but it's from another class. Rinpoche said many classes ago that the physical human body is a result of the combination of the essence from the mother and father, and it's suffering in nature. And I was wondering how it's possible for a being to, like, say, the Buddha, how did he become a Buddha and still have the human form?
When he became enlightened, how could he continue to have a human form, which would make him look like he's got a body which isn't suffering in nature?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
在俺做的米经的，安尼去当俺做的旅写的，的既然讲的，他们的头发的话，安尼的东西给人性，现实是属于多啊。今天人呢，本来大家给他们那可是我们这个商业的，对呢，安尼旅游的，安尼米旅游的话，真的。看得起的，看得要的，这样现在旅，俺是没旅的中间给人进是吧？
这张的中间给人写的，对了，写句蛮不要的，特别进步的，发展特别写运的怎么？从农村那旅的上面旅的不的写记，但其他嘛大多数，他的。特别现在都是写的，现在这个古人的都点的是个呀，都点的是，那工作上的那三节工作嘛的是个呀，都点的是个字呀，可是这是呢，用的，这个，从那到跟着到点到不了三节不了吧，你点的都点的是。to there is in a year. Did the Tiba member was here, the members in us. You do with Tiba to Subi. The yes, the fully did 2 days here. But that is in the Jiggy in a tonum to name. Had that you done about the Yarva. Did Sami lose juries. Doing Maris, you disami Lucy to a research.
There are actually various ways in which this is explained. So, according to the Mahayana, and you know, specifically within that, according to perfection teachings. When you achieve the path of seeing, your body becomes uncontaminated. According to the vehicle of the hearers, like for example, according to the Vaibhashika and Sautrantika system, the Buddha's body would be truth of suffering. It would be included in the truth of suffering. It would be in the well, anyway, it would be truth of suffering. And when we talk about the 3 rare and sublime ones, so you've got the Buddha, rare and sublime Buddha, it wouldn't be the rare and sublime Buddha. The rare and sublime Buddha would be that, because in that system, the Buddha's was born, and at that time he was not an enlightened being, so he was born from his mother's womb. He wasn't an enlightened being. And he, during that lifetime, he achieved enlightenment. So, in other words, he achieved gradually the path of the various parts, and when he got to the path of seeing, then that body that he had would have become, at that point, uncontaminated. No, actually, so sorry, no, I'm getting mixed up now. So yeah, according to the Hera vehicle, yes, he achieved enlightenment in that lifetime. According to the Mahayana vehicle, and they would say that it is truth of suffering, but according to the Mahayana system, even, as soon as you achieve the path of seeing, then your body is now uncontaminated. Yeah, so according to the Mahayana system, in other words, at the path of seeing, your body becomes uncontaminated and it's no longer truth of suffering.
Okay.
In Geshe Sopa's book, on page 130, he says we should, in the middle of and towards the end of that page, he says, in short, we should understand that emptiness is not the emptiness of functionality. What does that mean?
Yeah, so that's not the term we've been using is like empty of performing a function. Okay, so the ginsoba lagi the lanchemogi which chigyo the inchikola the dinala tomba nie singindi dunjin nu bit tomba la sigi mindos tomba kare tomba is dunjin nu bit tomba mares di kare kogudosa
네.
진짜 그래.
디 든지네 동바스네 아니 난가도스 동이레 두고라. 든지네 동바라. 난가디 든지네 동베 동체 지야라. 디 동이 신이디 든지네 동베 동체 지레스는 난가쿠라 돈이 레지메베 동이 참이 구구야라. 디 마레시야. 가르사네 든지 니베 동바티르바. 난가디 든지 니베 동베 동체 지야라. 디 그 도마체기 차지레. 든지 니 동시야 딜라. 디잖아 동이 참무시기 말이스. 든지 니베 동바티 도스는 동이 도 비켜부 말이. 난가디엔도 든지 니베 동바. 난가디 뭐부 많이 버떠인데. 난가디 든지 니 동도 떠인 거.
Well, what it means is when we talk about emptiness, if we say that emptiness means emptiness of being able to perform a function, and because empty of functionality would mean like it can't function, right? So empty of being able to perform a function, then like space would be emptiness. Space would be subtle emptiness because it's empty of being able to perform a function. Empty of being so the thing is, you know, like just like we distinguish between permanent and impermanent, identical to that in terms of, you know, what the objects that are referred to is able to perform a function, which would be anything which is impermanent, and empty of being able to perform a function, which is anything permanent. So when you say when you talk about emptiness, it doesn't just mean emptiness of being able to perform a function, because then everything which is permanent would be, you know, the subtle emptiness. And not only that, but it would mean that when you realize something is empty of being able to perform a function, which really just means that you've realized that it's permanent, it would mean you've realized emptiness. And that's not true either. Okay, so when we talk about these two categories of phenomena, I mean, sometimes they're called things and non-things. Sometimes they're called effective phenomena and ineffective phenomena, or non-effective phenomena. The non-thing is defined as that which is unable to perform a function. So things are defined as that which is able to perform a function. Non-things, that which is empty of being able to perform a function. So if emptiness simply meant emptiness of being able to perform a function, as soon as you realize something is empty of being able to perform a function, it would mean that you've realized emptiness, which is not the case. Just by realizing something is empty of being able to perform a function, which means really no more than just realizing it's empty, that it's permanent, that doesn't mean to say that you've necessarily realized that you've realized emptiness, does it? So that which is able to perform a function is the definition for thing. That which is empty of being able to perform a function is the definition of non-thing. Okay.
Now, when you have a very strong emotion, right? And how to say strong anger? How do we use emptiness to meditate on that so that dissipate your strong emotion?
You mean like while you're feeling really angry?
Yeah.
How we can meditate?
Yes. Meditate emptiness of that emotion. I don't know how to meditate. Like I can meditate, say, like if I'm angry at the person, I can meditate that person is not inherently existent and to right.
When you're not feeling angry, you mean?
Yeah, when I'm feeling angry at that person, I can just think about that person not being inherently existent, and then to try to find the person, then so that dissipate. But like if I want to meditate on the anger itself, how to
Oh, so you mean like when you're angry, you're able to meditate on the person that you're angry with being
right,
empty,
or meditate on me,
but you're not able, or you, but
Yeah.
you're not able to meditate on the emptiness of the anger.
or anger. Yeah, and Prabhuji one time told me that meditate on that emotion, but like I tried, but I didn't know how.
Ben condo shooting Quebec kabla. You remember the do condo korangi tengi tombanil samdana pengi res yabutusti samdangores sons sa cheza tadi toni the kasa the condo the shooting book Quebec kabla kab koranga ane rangi tengi ane the tombanil sam tawada ane parable condo Chiesa della di tengi de tonil samdana condo des jala the pengidos ina yanda condo korangi de tengi toni de samdan tugimdos singimes
condo Reda Susums
la
Susumbresa
rimshiki mola de sonsonsa
Mari
Nyama condo korangi de tengi Rimshi says he didn't say that.
Maybe I misunderstood.
You mean like during this class?
No,
Or
before,
private?
Privately,
Oh.
when I said.
Condo Chiesa che nasceva per Sambrese,
No.
Condo Langi Cerva, Condo Sasa Cerva, Condo Sasa de Rashing Sambre did Rashing Matu Sambre Chegurva, did Janasiga, did Lavre.
I don't think that I said that when you're angry, you should meditate on the emptiness of the anger. I don't think I said that to you. What I would have said to you, what I must have said to you is, when you're angry, think about the emptiness of the person that you're angry with. Think about how that person doesn't exist by their own nature and so on. I think I would have said that.
Rachita Kondo Kurai Rashimebarva, Rashimebare, is some chugari, Rashimebasam, Mea Katakadiloko, Kondo Lanias, the Kondo Sasako, Mea Sambarvich, Rashigi Me, Temba Mayi Sambarvich, some Kuira, dear Samsuna, 군도 시주로 봐. 이해를 개발하러 봐.
Mm.
지다 군도 코나이다 남도기 조다 차지로 봐. 열심히 해봐 봐. 삼야도 야로 봐.
It is true that anger itself is empty, which means it's empty of existing naturally. There is kind of like a mind which superimposes on anger, inherent existence on anger. But what really helps when you're feeling angry is to think about how the person your anger is directed at, the one that you're angry with, to think how that person doesn't exist by them.
이제 다 고수 미미 바스네 따리 군도 사와보라 시게려 봐. 사적이 유스 네 군도 순가 라시메 봐. 진배 고수 라시기 메바세티 그 진적이 제 진사 아니 진바 시게려 봐. 진바스
Jimbapo.
Jimba seati ka Jimba
Jimbe Jawara.
le Jawara Jimba seati Jawara Jinsa Jimbapo Jimbe Jawas Tati Nashi Kundu Sasagi yu Kundu Sawapo Saje Kundu setu ko Kuntua setu tako Jawaku Surichiriba Javichane Kundu Just Mimi Pasam some day, some terba. This one got me them being some privilege.
It is true that there is a meditation you can do, which would be the emphasis of the three circles, the three spheres of the anger. So, in other words, the person who is getting angry, the person that they're getting angry with, and the anger would be like an action, like being angry, getting angry with somebody, thinking about how those three are not true, how they don't exist naturally. Just like we talk about meditating on the emptiness of the three spheres of generosity, or in other words, giving. So the three would be, in terms of the object, what's the gift that's being given, so what's being given and who it's being given to, then the person who's giving, and the action of giving. Meditating on the emphasis of three spheres of those who would be thinking how those three, they're not true, they don't exist naturally.
Okay, I have one more question. The other day, Shira asked a question about the emptiness on the vase and the emptiness of the vase. So it was something related to that. What is the difference between the emptiness on the vase and the emptiness of the vase?
Yeah, so what's the difference?
I'm asking Bundashi.
Dangema de Shiragi Takanda de no mare. Pena Bumpe Tombani Dang Bumpe Tengi Tombani Ni Ibotozo La Keba Yores Bumpe Tombani Bumpe Tengi Tombani Chipale Kares. So actually the emptiness of the vase and the emptiness on the vase, they'd be the same. They'd be the same.
The emptiness of
Inside the vase? Okay, so
she said on the vase is, when she said emptiness of the vase is like inherent existence, empty of inherent existence. But when she said emptiness on the vase, she meant that the emptiness, the empty space of
inside. Yeah, so because I missed that class.
What's your question?
It had to do with that, because I thought there was that distinction being made between the emptiness on the vase and the emptiness of the vase. Maybe the emptiness of the vase means the...
You're going like on the vase.
It was something that I wasn't here that day, and then the next week she brought up that question, and I hadn't heard that, so I was curious, and I wanted to ask it that week, but we didn't get a chance. So Rinpoche is saying there's no difference. If there is no difference.
Well, the thing is, if you ask what's the difference between emptiness of the vase and emptiness on the vase, then Rinpoche is saying there's no difference. But if you're talking about emptiness, like there's this table here, there's emptiness on the table, under the table, inside the table, is there a difference between those? That's a different question, isn't it?
And I think that's what we're asking, isn't it? Isn't that what I'm asking?
I just asked what you asked, that's all.
So, okay, so if we take the vase, is there a difference between the emptiness on the outside of the vase, the emptiness on the inside of the vase, and the emptiness of the vase itself? Is there a difference?
But Bumbi, now the Tombani Yorwa,
Really?
and it's Chilolian Tombani Yorwa.
Yeah.
There's a Bumbi Nalogi Tombani, Bumbi Chilogi Tombani, and the Bumbi Tombani, Sumla Kabayoras.
Pumbe tombani sineta pumbe tembe tonga tagari. Pumbe rishing me bendigala pumbe tombani sirba. Ta pumbe chi tombani si chi pumbe chi chirugi chucherba. One pumbe chi danani yerba. Kuni tungshi chuji kagarba. Pumbe nangi pumbe nang tembe tonga sene pumbe nangi chu tembe tonga tungshi chuji kar. Pumbe chi chue di tembe dongas dirba ka kuni tungshi chujin kagarba pumba tembe dongas ne tiga kanga son dirba chopa dila sigerba tembe dongas pumbe chi chiru chi pumbe chi tembe dongas pumbe nami tembe dongas ne kuni tungshi chujin kagarba.
Well, now when you talk about, you ask, is there a difference or is there no difference, or what would be the difference between the emptiness of the vase and the emptiness inside the vase and the emptiness outside the vase? You're actually talking about the emptiness of three different objects, distinct objects. There's the vase itself. So when we talk about the emptiness of the vase, then the empty basis, as we might call it, the basis which is empty, the thing which is empty, is the vase, which is this, sort of like aggregation of the different parts, which we call vase. Then when you talk about the emptiness inside the vase, that means you're talking about emptiness, emptiness of true existence, emptiness of inherent existence of anything that might be inside the vase. And when you're talking about the emptiness outside the vase, then that's another different empty basis, because it would refer to any kind of phenomenon that's outside of the vase. That's what it would refer to. So you're talking about the emptinesses of three distinct objects.
Wow.
Pumbe tongni sina pumba tembe tonga kwarang re. Tongshi chuji pumba kwarang shao re.
When we talk about the emptiness of the vase, then we're talking about the vase, how the vase itself is empty of true existence. And so the empty basis, the thing which is empty, would be the vase in that case. Vase.
Yeah, that's Shashan.
So we'll stop there.
Thank you.